Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Alpha Touring Challenge, Season 8, Round 10. And we are at Virginia International Raceway, VIR, to get the party started. Qualifying is coming to a close, and we're looking forward to a great race once again. 30 drivers registered for this feature event. As always, I'm your host, James East. Actually, this time filling in for Mason Heimbaugh on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Bring the action 1080p, 60 frames a second, as we get ready to send the drivers out. Looking forward to another great race. And as always, thank you to the fans, friends, and family. Tune in, supporting the drivers, supporting the league, as well as supporting the broadcast. Now, it's very late into the season, but we still have some big names that might be able to bring home some championship points, as it looks like just about every driver has completed their qualifying run. Coming into tonight in the Alpha Championship, you got Micah Hendricks leading. Let's see if I can get that pulled up a little bit better. There we go. Edward Garman sitting in second. Logan McKenzie third. Robert Adams sitting in fourth, with David Bauer sitting in fifth. In the Delta Championship, you've got Mike Dalmeida starting first, or currently running first. Trevor Lambert-Lee running second. Scott Weeb starting third. Eric Stotzer running fourth in the championship. And Zach Perry currently fifth in the points. Now, Trevor Lambert-Lee, also our most successful rookie so far this season as well. So coming out showing the drivers what he's got. And as far as the team championship goes, Yellow Flag Motorsports has a very healthy lead over Curb Your Enthusiasm Autosport. Looks like drivers are completed with qualifying. And let's get ready and get this grid set. Starting on pole is Edward Gorman, the 137. Micah Hendricks starting second. Got Dan McFarland starting third. Logan McKenzie starts fourth. Francois Schink starting fifth. Jason Lawson starting sixth. David Bauer starting seventh. Damon Mitchell starts eighth. Mark DeBoer starting ninth. Matt Zrebska starting 10th. Connor Asatella starting 11th. Mike Dalmeida starting 12th. Let's cycle a little bit further back into this grid. And you've got Jeffrey Arian starting 13th. Eric Statzer starts 14th. Kevin Clark starting 15th. Colin Hopkins starts 16th. Scott Weeb starting 17th. Mark Darnell starting 18th. Dustin Rand starting 19th. Jesse Olson starts 20th. Trevor Lambert-Lee starting 21st. Adam Hartzell starts 22nd. Zach Perry starts 23rd. Filipino, I think you get clarification on that one. He's going to be starting 24th. Landon Patmore starts 25th. Mayor Crawford starting 26th. Raymond 2 starting 27th. Aaron Law starts 28th. Dom Savio starting 29th. And Kyle House will round out the 30-car grid here today. The lights go off, and we are underway here at VIR. A long starting straightaway for our drivers. And already seeing some headlights at play. Man, what a massive field here it is today. Gorman's going to lead the field into turn one, but Hendricks in very hot pursuit. Keep an eye out for Schink. The number 18 machine has already gained 2 spots up into third, as well as John Lawson in the number 77. And it is a 1-hour feature event, but we've got problems further back. Looks like that's going to be David Bauer. Way off in the cheap seats there. So that's going to be the number 35 machine. Falls all the way to the back. Able to get rejoined as we're watching Edward Gorman leading the drivers through the first kink. They'll pass under the bridge, but we've got even more problems reported at the back. This time it's going to be Mark Darnell involved in an incident. Let's get that replay queued up. We're focusing on the number 83 machine of Darnell. So far, so good. A little bit curving. Oh, pushes a little bit wide. And spins right into the circuit. We saw and heard a little bit of contact. Thankfully, that could have been much worse. So drivers able to get through unscathed. Look at that. That's Damon Mitchell. And Dan McFarland doing a little bit of swap and paint in the battle for 6th. That's going to give Logan McKenzie in 5th a little bit of a break, as McKenzie fights side by side with Francois, the number 18 machine. Now, Francois currently running 4th with this very heated battling. That's allowing your top 3, Gorman, Hendricks, Lawson, a chance to break away. And drivers have to remember, this is a long race. They got plenty of time to try and make some moves. You can't win it on the first lap, but you can absolutely throw it away. And drivers do have one fast repair in their back pocket, one get out of jail free card. As McKenzie using that draft against Shank to close up, pull side by side. Tries the outside line through turn one. Shank is going to hold on to it here up front. Looks like Micah Hendricks closing the gap up to Edward Gorman, so we may see a battle for the lead shaping up. And another good race. There's Colin Hopkins, Trevor Lambert-Lee battling very intently for that 17th place spot. Now, Trevor Lambert-Lee, we talked about him earlier in the broadcast. He is our current rookie up front in the points, so good to see him doing well as he makes a nice clean pass for 17. Don't count out Adam Hartzell, the number 19 machine, so things are going worse for Colin Hopkins, losing 2 spots very quickly to both Hartzell and Hopkins. Gotta love the action here at the Alpha Touring Challenge, North America's biggest front-wheel drive series. And these guys are putting on an absolutely fantastic show for the fans at home. Well, let us know in the spectator area where you're from, who you're cheering on. Drivers will frequently have the broadcast pulled up on a separate device, and if they don't, they just about always go back and watch it over. There's Mike DeBoer in the 409 machine. He had a pretty intense battle going on with Matt Zretska in the 490. Oh, but we've got problems for the rookie. Trevor Lambert in the Spotify back number 93, a big off-track moment. He's going to drop all the way back to 22nd here, so he's going to have a long charge up ahead of him. And unfortunately, we have our first driver taking a tow back to pit road. That's going to be Mark Darnell. Had a series of issues early on in this feature event. Hopefully he can get that machine back hammered in the right shape and see if he can get back out there, try and score some points. We go up to third place, John Lawson, the number 77. He set the fastest lap of the race so far, a 158.38. Has closed the gap now to Hendricks and Gorman to within a half second. That's a very long race. We're not even 5 minutes into this hour feature, so I'm curious to see, are these top three going to maybe work together, try and keep the draft train going, and maybe break away from the rest of the field, because you've got great battling going on. You got Francois Schink, Logan McKenzie battling for 4th, Damon Mitchell, Dan McFarland battling for 6th. Oh, who is that off track? I think that's Mitchell. Mitchell loses 1 spot to McFarland. Looks like Connor Asatella trying to slide through as well. Asatella sitting 8th. And you can definitely see the drivers overextending the track limits. Pushing a little bit wide here, trying to get everything they can out of these front-wheel drive machines. Edward Gorman out front, still has Micah Hendricks breathing down his neck, and be looking forward to seeing what the lap time's up to. Right now it's a 158.38 by Lawson with the fastest lap of the race. I think that's going to only improve in these machines. Yes, Lawson a 158.07, and here we go, the battle for the lead. Oh, Hendricks with a massive send into turn 1, overcooks it. Gorman played that perfectly to hold on to the race lead. Hendricks is going to fall all the way back to 7th now. There goes Damon Mitchell. So now Hendricks is going to have a long time to try and get that momentum built back up. And that is good news for John Lawson. Suddenly finds himself in 2nd with the fastest lap of the race. But Gorman, I think, is feeling good here with the clean air. Has extended that lead to about 3/4 of a second over Lawson. If we go a little bit further back, though, still great battles all across the track. You're walking Eric Staitzer and Mike De Almeida battling for 11th. And look at the freight train of drivers here at VIR. I've got to say, I'm a huge fan as a broadcaster, seeing just how packed the grids are here. See if we can get that updated. There we go. Got the full list of drivers on the left side of your screen. Oh, here we go. Almeida makes that pass for 11th. And now Staitzer is going to have problems from Jeffrey Aroyan in the 233, excuse me. Aroyan making his moves, trying to find any line he can. We go on board that 233 machine. Now Scott Weeb, the 253, heads down pit road for a green flag stop. I didn't see him involved with any incidents, so not quite sure what happened there. As now it's Dan McFarland, the fastest lap of the race. The first driver, he's that number 23 Hyundai, gets down to a 157.89. So absolutely ripping it here. I think this is going to be a race of attrition as this goes on. We've already seen 2-3 drivers dropping out. Not sure if Weeb is going to be able to get back out on track in that 253. He came down pit road under his own power. But unfortunately, Mark Darnell, Kyle House does not look like they're going to return to the circuit. And there is quite a busy battle going on from 12th to about 15th place. You've got Staitzer, Aroyan, Olsen, Clark, all nose to tail here, trying to force a mistake out of the driver in front. Kevin Clark trying to make a move against Jesse Olsen's number 16 machine. And look at that, Lawson, a 157.82, getting faster and faster, but McFarland answers immediately, a 157.745. So these Alpha Touring Challenge drivers, as the fuel load starts to decrease in the cars, they will find a little bit more pace, and they've got to be careful not to overdrive the front tires and burn these things up. As I say that, almost contact there between Hendricks and Mitchell. Hendricks had so much pace early on, but then had that big off track in turn one. Is going to be elbows out, trying to get back in the hunt here as he muscles his way up into 6th in that 473 machine. Really impressed with these drivers. No matter where we pan the camera, you can find great racing at the Alpha Touring Challenge. And we've seen battles for the lead, we've seen battles for 12th, and everybody's out on track trying to fight for their personal best here. Up front, still Gorman, Lawson, Schenk, your top 3. McKenzie and McFarland rounding out the top 5. McFarland still holds the fastest lap of the race. The driver's very, very equally matched, but we do have another crash report. Drevska had some sort of incident. Let's see what happened here for the 490 machine. Looks like it's going to be a solo incident. Oh my goodness, almost looked like a bit of a hardware failure there. just totally lost control of the car and obliterated that thing. McFarland with another record-setting lap, a 1:57.55. He's caught up to the back of McKenzie. McKenzie on the tail of Shink in the number 18 machine. Just behind them, you can see Hendricks, Mitchell, Acitello working together nose to tail, trying to pull themselves a little bit higher up inside the top 5. McFarland putting the pressure on McKenzie, a quarter of a second separating these drivers just inside the top 5. Now we know McFarland has the pace. He was almost 3/10 faster than anybody that last lap. So he's feeling very, very good as the tires are coming in. Now fuel window will open up around that lap 30-minute mark. And look at the rear rotors glowing on McFarland's 23. It's a whole lot of Hyundais and a lone Honda up front with Edward Gorman. Damon Mitchell, the fastest Audi out on track. He's 7th in the number 27, up 1 spot from where he qualified. And McFarland doing everything he can to get around McKenzie. McKenzie being a little bit more defensive here, has given up a couple of tenths to Francois, who sits in 3rd. But 3rd, 4th, 5th, they're about 1.6 seconds back from the top 2 drivers. It's still Gorman out front, Lawson in 2nd. And you can really see how hard these drivers are working the brakes here in Virginia. Still have 27 of the 30 entries out on track. McKenzie is going to play it safe here. That Yellow Flag Motorsports number 04 machine is in the team championship lead. They do not want to throw anything away here. But McFarland definitely seems like a man on a mission, hunting for any opening he can find to see if he can work that 23 up into 4th. You can definitely notice Francois Shink is grabbing a couple hundreds here, a couple hundreds there, extending that gap over McKenzie and McFarland. Now still 0.76 seconds between the two and not gaining too much ground over the top 2 drivers, maybe a couple of hundreds, but Francois kind of in no man's land here, doesn't have the draft support to leapfrog his way forward. He's going to do it all on raw talent. Another good battle out on track, a pack of 4 drivers. 11th through 14th, that's Statzer, Aroyan, Olsen, Clark, all linked up nose to tail. Now, as this race progresses, that's where attrition and tire management is going to start to play a role for these drivers. Aroyan, the 233, he's up 1 spot from where he started. Hard charger out on track, though, is going to be, I believe, Aaron Law in that 38 machine. A very interesting green choice put on the side of that Audi. He is up 12 positions. Now up to 16th after starting way at the back of the field. So has some good momentum built up, and look right behind him. There comes that rookie driver who had the big issues, Trevor Lambert-Lee, trying to muscle his way back through. And this is where our rookie drivers are going to have to really focus on minimizing those mistakes. Those Delta Championship drivers have to be mindful of any mistakes they make, as these front-wheel drive machines do not reward mistakes. It takes quite a while to build that momentum up if you have any sort of moment. Oh, Colin Hopkins taking an alternative route here at VIR. Did not lose any positions there. Oh, something has happened to Royan in the 233. It looks like a big blink. I'm hoping he did not disconnect in that 233. He was running so extremely well. Oh, but I think that may be the case here for Jeff. Here we go. The battle for 7th continues. Damon Mitchell versus Connor Acetella. Audi versus Hyundai. Oh, a big run there from Acetella. Right on the back. Let's see what's going to happen into turn 1. Looks to the outside. Not able to find the opening. Tries to cut down low, but Mitchell right there being defensive. And we pan back to the very heated battle for 4th. Logan McKenzie, the 04. Dan McFarland, the number 23, still linked up. You can see Francois has not pulled too much time ahead. Things are pretty static here inside the top 5. And you can definitely tell McFarland taking a peek at any opening he can find against McKenzie, just not able to find what he's looking for. As McKenzie doing a good job staying right on that optimal line, carrying as much corner speed as he can. And this is where the consistency is paying off for these top 5 drivers. Now Edward Gorman up front still has a half-second advantage over John Lawson. And they are still about a 1 3/4 ahead of Francois Schink. This has got to be a tough spot for McFarland to be in. I mean, really can't see his reference marks too well here. So we're on board with McFarland's 23 machine once more. The start and finish line here at VIR. Now drivers hitting speeds at about 140 miles an hour. Start finish line straight has a pretty aggressive right-hand kink. Now I think in these machines not going to play too much of a factor. That's why they're just wide open all the way in. Here we go. Oh, we've got more problems for the rookie driver. Trevor Lambert-Lee. He's got the most points out of the rookies. Let's see what happened. Grabbed a little bit of grass, and he's going to go for a spectacular ride before absolutely pulverizing the front of that 93 machine. You just heard the magic smoke coming out of that vehicle. So he's going to take a tow back to pit road. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to rejoin or not. And unfortunately, he's going to join the list of drivers going home a little bit early here. Checking in on Edward Gorman. Not having too many problems, still holding about a 6/, 7/10 advantage over Lawson. and pull a little bit of a gap there, but let's go a little bit further back. Jesse Olsen catching up to Eric Stater in the 789 machine. Olsen, the number 16. Side by side we go. You saw the pit out cone on the right side of your screen very briefly. And it's going to be a battle under braking into turn 1. Looks like Olsen might be able to hold it here as they get ready to flick into the left-hander. And keep an eye out, Kevin Clark, the number 89 machine, in hot pursuit as well, watching this side-by-side battle unfold. So Stater is going to yield that position. He's going to fall back to 12th, but here comes Kevin Clark trying to capitalize. And just fantastic battling all across here. Going to be interesting to see. I mean, Kevin Clark looked like he wanted to make that pass, but then had to think better of it, not wanting to push too hard and too early here. Now, it looks like Mark Crawford is going to roll out of pit road and rejoin the race. As, man, Dan McFarland is not giving McKenzie a chance to breathe at all here. Right on the tail. I mean, McFarland's had to do everything perfectly to avoid losing a position. McKenzie's last time by a 157.9 for McFarland, a 157.76. Now up front, Edward Gorman did set his fastest lap of the race. So feeling pretty good here, it looks like. But we are seeing the pace start to decrease slightly for a lot of these drivers. And the field's starting to stretch out just ever so slightly. Now, while McKenzie and McFarland have been battling, Francois Schink in third has pulled a 1.4 second gap over these drivers. Now, I'm going to be very curious to see when do we see some green flag stops as we get ready for the halfway mark. Dan McFarland takes that opportunity. He comes down pit road. Now, I'm curious to see maybe McFarland looking at the lap times thinking, I've got better pace than McKenzie. Let's see if maybe we can try and get some clean track based on pit strategy. Going to be interesting to see Edward Gorman. I think he's going to stay out until that gas tank is totally empty. He's enjoying it up front. And still holds about a half-second advantage over Lawson. You can see those cars dancing around there slightly. And And I wonder, is Lawson maybe finding some pace here? Now Lawson finding more pace for the first time in a long time has whittled the gap down to within 4/10 of Gorman, who's led just about every lap here at VIR. You can see Francois Schink, that's what 1.8 seconds looks like behind these top two drivers, but we've got just a couple of short minutes to go before we will see the crossed green and white flags signifying the halfway mark. Damon Mitchell coming down pit road for his one planned green flag stop. And we've got another crash report. This time it's Landon Patmore having some sort of issue. Let's see what happened to that 191 machine. Oh, it's almost an identical mistake there. Tags that outside grass and then absolutely pulverizes the race car. Now there's a little bit of lap traffic on the horizon for Gorman and Lawson. Not quite sure who that is. That may be Mark Crawford in the 504 machine. Oh, and I just heard problems for Micah Hendricks. Yes, we had the camera pointed right in time. And I wonder, I think there might have been contact there between Hendricks and maybe Crawford. I saw Crawford also involved in an incident. We're going to focus in on Hendricks. No, Hendricks has problems all on his own, it looks like. So what happened to Crawford that resulted in him taking a tow back to pit road? Catches a grass. Drifting around and says, you know what, I've had enough, takes a tow back. Now Gorman and Lawson are going to stay out for another lap. We are officially at the halfway mark of this main event. Look at the back end of Gorman's number 137 machine doing a little bit of dancing, a little bit of sliding. Now drivers historically will double stint their tires. And green flag pit stops, we're seeing about 18 seconds on average for those drivers that take fuel and get right back out there. And they will run either automatic crew pits or software engineers, I should say. Or they might be doing the math themselves. But man, look at the slip angle that we're starting to see out of Edward Gorman. Now we got a report from as well from Mark Darnell, that 83 machine that retired early had a hardware malfunction where his brakes were actually dragging the entire first lap. So absolutely gutting to see that for the number 83 machine. He was running so well in practice and quali, and then things just went terribly wrong. So even in sim racing, mechanicals definitely happen. And another driver, looks like it's going to retire. It's going to be Landon Patmore in the 191. Grabs a little bit too much grass. Tries to get it slowed down. No, he doesn't. He's still wide open here. I don't think he ever lifted. Up until he saw that there was going to be imminent contact with the wall here, and he takes a tow back to pit road. Now, while this is going on, Gorman has pulled about a 9/10 gap over Lawson, so finding a little bit something extra here very late in the fuel run. Wants to give himself the biggest advantage he can as they come out of pit road. Raymond 2, Zach Perry all down pit road. Dustin Rand also coming down pit road for their green flag stops. About 14, 15 drivers have yet to box here in this feature event. Unfortunately, we're going to have yet another driver retiring. This is going to be Dom Savio piloting that number 81 machine. And good old iRacing hasn't quite figured out the grass physics quite yet. So drivers will go off track here, and you're seeing a lot here at Virginia. Go off grass or go off track, dip a tire, and just not able to get it slowed down at all. It's effectively driving on ice if you leave the asphalt. Francois Schink, Mark DeBoer, Kevin Clark all coming down pit road. We're watching Jesse Olsen and Eric Staitzer battling for 7th. Separated by about 0.3 of a second. Our top 3 drivers now Gorman, Lawson, McKenzie. As Schink came down pit road, the number 18, he was in and out of his pit stall, 17.23 seconds. And Dan McFarland, way back in 12th after having some issues early on, just clicks off a 1:57.52, the newest fast lap of the race. Going to be interesting to see how this one shapes up after the pit cycles are complete. The top 9 drivers have yet to box. As Edwin Gorman continues leading the charge. So far, he looks unstoppable. The States are trying to catch the draft off of Olsen's number 16 machine, just not quite able to get there. And here we go, the top 3 on pit road. Gorman, Lawson, McKenzie. Micah Hendricks will stay out in the number 473 machine to get credit for a lap led here. Looks like Mike D'Almeida also coming down pit road. Jesse Olsen, Eric Staitzer. So that will complete their one scheduled fuel stop of the night. Connor Acetella also staying out in the number 55 machine. Looking for some clean track on the nose of that 55. There goes Gorman, 17.72 seconds. But keep an eye on Logan McKenzie, a very fast pit stop, 16.95. I believe he's going to be right on the tail of John Lawson's number 77. As McFarland puts down another heater, a 1:57.51. McFarland on a bit of an undercut strategy, came in 4 to 5 lap prior than all the drivers in front of him. So it's going to be interesting to see what the fuel numbers show at the end of this thing. Now Micah Hendricks, who's leading the race despite yet to box, clicked off a personal fastest lap for himself, a 1:57.65. So Hendricks definitely has the pace in the 473 machine, just maybe didn't have the momentum early on that he was quite looking for. Also keep an eye out. Francois Schink sitting in 6th at number 18. Had very good pace early on and now has a little bit of company up front that he's going to try and work through as we watch Lawson and McKenzie battling fiercely for 4th. Micah Hendricks down pit road. Let's see if Acetella follows behind as well in the 55. Yes, he does. So that's going to put Gorman back in the race lead after the completion of the green flag pit stops. There's Gorman officially back into the race lead. Lawson will move up to 2nd. So that's going to put Logan McKenzie in the 04 machine up into 3rd. And McKenzie doesn't seem like he wants to settle there, keeping the pressure on Lawson. I think he knows Francois Schink and Dan McFarland, 4th and 5th, have great pace right behind them. But McKenzie, known for his consistency here at the Alpha Touring Challenge. Is it going to press? Not going to put that 04 in the vortex of danger unless he absolutely has to. He's got points championships on his mind. Oh, this is going to get very, very tight here. Not sure, maybe McKenzie had a slight bobble, but Francois and Dan McFarland have rapidly closed the gap. So this is about to be a 4-car battle for 2nd. And I'm sure Edward Gorman's got to be ecstatic here, checking out up front, 4 seconds ahead the rest of the field. Now last week at Mid-Ohio, it was John Lawson brought home the win, but Edward Gorman wants to get, I believe this would be his 3rd under his belt this season if he can make it happen. Oh, but this is going to get very exciting. McKenzie putting the pressure on Lawson. He's got to go forward now as Schink and McFarland in very hot pursuit. We've got 20 minutes left in this race. And 4 drivers all battling for that 2nd place spot, nose to tail. Lawson grabs a little bit of curbing there. May allow McKenzie a chance to fire back. You can see Micah Hendricks back in 6th. He sees a frantic battle up ahead, so a top 5 not out of the picture for him yet. Going to be interesting to see what happens once they make their way on the start-finish line. It is going to be a draft battle for all involved as they go around where the former oak tree was here at VIR. The large oak, a staple of the track for the absolute longest of time, but unfortunately the last few years, storms taking that thing out. McKenzie's got a big run, has it within 1/10 of a second of Lawson. Is he going to have time? Is he going to have room? He shoots to the inside, hops back in line, says, you know what, not quite able to make it happen. Because McKenzie has to be careful. Any mistake he makes battling Lawson, you can guarantee Schink and McFarland are going to try and capitalize. But while this battle's going on, Edward Gorman pulling an even bigger gap now, 5 seconds ahead the rest of the field. You saw Gorman just ahead navigating lap traffic. And Man, McKenzie right on the back bumper, tries to hit the slingshot. He looks to the outside line through turn 1. Oh, nowhere to go as Lawson guards the inside, but look at that. Micah Hendricks back in 6th. Clicks off a 1:57.39, a new fastest lap of the race. I'm almost wondering if Lawson just wants to keep driving defensively here and maybe hope that McKenzie has a little bit more company from behind with Shink and McFarland. But this is allowing Micah Hendricks in 6th. He's closing the gap as I just saw McFarland shoot off the track. McFarland will lose the spot to Hendricks. Looked like just a simple mistake there out of McFarland. Grabs the grass and not able to get slowed down. Thankfully keeps it pointing the right direction. But now that's going to make it a 3-car shootout for 2nd, unless we can see Micah Hendricks continue to close that gap. He's about 1.5 seconds back from this battle from 2nd. Oh, what was that? Was that a mistake from Lawson? I didn't see contact there. Let's get that one queued up and slowed down. Looked like Lawson may have had a little bit of a bobble. It's hard to tell. I don't think McKenzie got into him. Oh, let's back that up. That's tough to call. It almost looked like he either missed the shift. Is there contact between the two? I mean, slightly. I wonder if Netcode maybe grabbed him there. Absolutely gutting for Lawson. So that's going to put McKenzie up into 2nd. Francois Sheik now up into 3rd. Lawson all the way back down to 6th, about 11 seconds behind what is now the 2nd place pack, a lonesome 2-car pack. And a shame. These guys have been driving so clean all race. You hate to see any sort of incident, especially this late, 3/4 of the way through this feature event. Still lots of racing going on as Aaron Law having pressure from, that's going to be Kevin Clark. Oh, and our race leader just had an off-track moment as well. Edward Gorman, a very rare bobble there out of the number 137. Didn't lose too much time, but now here we go. We were talking about Micah Hendricks earlier saying, hey, if he just stays clean and keeps clicking off those fast laps, definitely not out of the hunt, and now he's within striking distance, 1 second back from 3rd place Francois Shink. Shink heavy on the pressure against McKenzie here. So I think Hendricks has a very real shot of a 3rd place finish if he can get up here in the mix. And also would not count out Dan McFarland back in 5th as well. McFarland's had fantastic pace and just terrible luck early on, but over the last 3/4 of an hour starting to overcome that adversity. Francois Shink hops out of the draft to take a shot along the outside against McKenzie. I don't think he's going to be able to make it happen here. But that has allowed Micah Hendricks to pull that gap now within 0.6 of a second. Hendricks set a 1:57.25 last time by. Another very fast lap. So Hendricks hoping that these top 2-3 drivers of McKenzie and Shink will continue battling, and he might be able to interject that 473 machine in the party. And yeah, look how quickly he's closed that gap. And once again, it's going to be a 3-car shootout for 2nd. This time it's McKenzie, Schenck, and Hendricks. Hendricks had the fastest lap of the race last time by. He's feeling good. Second through fourth place within a half second. You could throw a blanket over these drivers. Edward Gorman still about 4 seconds ahead of the rest of the field here, clicking off laps, making it look easy. And man, what a comeback story for Micah Hendricks if he can make this happen. Dom Savio unfortunately having to retire. He has a big moment and has to put it back into the virtual hauler. Here we go. Keep an eye out on Hendricks' lap time. Last time was a 1:57.25. What's it going to be updated to as he's in the draft? A 1:57.55, but it looks like he's going to make the pass for third against Francois. Deep and heavy on the binders into turn one, so Hendricks finds himself back in podium contention. And he's got his eyes forward this time on the 04 of Logan McKenzie. Let's see what's going to happen here. Francois Schenck staying right in the draft, not losing too much time. He's about 4/10 off the back of Hendricks. Hendricks with a big move up the inside, not quite able to make it happen. And he's going to lose a whole lot of time there to Francois. And look at that in the background. That's Dan McFarland's 23 machine. He's got a carrot to chase, and he's going to put down some quick laps here. And that just goes to show, don't count yourself out until it's over. Edward Gorman has lap traffic to navigate ahead. He's got 22nd place driver. That's going to be Scott Weeb in the 253, who's going to quickly hop out of the way for the race leader going into turn one. But boy, lap traffic needs to keep their head on a swivel because there is a very fierce battle for second right behind. We've got 10 minutes left in this feature event. Oh, and look at that. There's Micah Hendricks, a big send up the inside line. Logan's going to try and fire back. But Hendricks is going to hold on to the inside line, and we talked about McFarland. He is back in the fray here. Oh, this is going to be a wild ride till the end at VIR. Up front, it's Gorman. The rest of the top five is Hendricks, McKenzie, Schenck, and McFarland. Gorman has his own off track in the race lead, losing about 3 to 4/10 of a second, but able to keep things in the right direction, not bleeding off too much time. And man, look at this wheel-to-wheel action. That was McKenzie and Schenck side by side. McFarland looking for any opening he can find. Average lap time just under 2 minutes. So we've got about maybe 4 laps to go at the most, depending on what Gorman can do here. McFarland falls back slightly as Hendricks has a good charge in second. Looks like he's going to be able to keep McKenzie, Shink, and McFarland at bay into turn one. More lap traffic ahead, though. Drivers ahead will see the blue flag and help facilitate that overtake as quickly as possible. They do not want to get tied up in somebody else's race here, and a lot of lap traffic up ahead. You could just see very briefly Gorman in frame, still holding a 5-second advantage over the rest of the field. McFarland in fifth, very hungry for a podium. He's tucked in behind Francois Shink's number 18 machine. But such a tough track and car combination to make aggressive passes. We talked about it earlier on the show. If you blow one corner, make one big mistake, it can take 3 to 4 corners to get that momentum built back up. And with how tight the top 5 are, sans Edward Gorman, any mistake could be devastating this late into the main event. There we go. We talked about lap traffic hopping out of the way. That is exactly what you just saw on camera, so well done to those drivers. And extreme consistency out of all involved. Now, these drivers have about 11-second gap over 6th place John Lawson, who had that incident earlier on. Or otherwise, I think Lawson would have been here in the mix as well. So unfortunately, he may have to be content for a 6th place finish in that number 77 machine. Now, it looks like nobody here at the start-finish line making big moves. We've got 6 minutes left to go, or about 3 laps if we're doing our math right up here in the broadcast booth. Looks like McFarland took a little bit of an alternative line there. I'm not sure if he was trying to gain some more corner speed for the switchbacks and chicane here at VIR, or maybe had a bit of a mistake as he's still about a half-second back from Francois. Francois very much keeping the pressure on Logan McKenzie's 04 machine. And Micah Hendricks, a bit of a breakaway, 6/10 up over McKenzie and Francois. Let's go a bit further back. Another 3-car battle, this time for 8th. David Mitchell, Mike De Almeida, and Mark DeBoer. 8th, 9th, and 10th here. Another 3-car pack separated by about a half-second between all 3 of them. The timer rapidly closing here. And all eyes remain on this battle for second. Now, barring some massive misfortune, Edward Gorman is looking good here to pick up another win. But, man, I don't know what's going to happen here in second and third. You've got Hendricks, McKenzie, Francois, Shink, and McFarland all in the mix. And McFarland, we know he's got the raw pace. Trying to force the issue here. Looks to the inside, trying to get up alongside Shink, but Shink's going to guard the inside in the next left-hander. And Micah Hendricks looks like he's starting to check out. He's pulled a 1.1 second gap over Logan McKenzie. Now Hendricks does have one more lap of fuel. Dan McKenzie's got 2 more than Shink, and Dan McFarland, he went with a massive undercut, came in on lap 13. Surely these drivers did the math right, though, to make things till the end without having to do any fuel saving. Got an off-track moment for Mike De Almeida. Let's see what happened to him. Does he get some help? Oh, it looks like he does. Oh, a big contact between those three. And De Almeida will eventually get off on track. Because that was Aaron Law not lifting at all through the grass, just licking the stamp and sending it to move up into 14th. I guess to give him some credit, he is our hard charger up 14 positions, so maybe the risks are paying off for that mean green 38 machine. A couple of minutes left to go here. I think Gorman's going to get the white flag next time by. I don't think the checkered will be out before we see that 137 cross the finish line. Currently holding about a 4.8 second gap over the rest of the field. Damon Mitchell, the number 27, is going to have to come down pit road late to the race, and he will drop down the standings due to that, now falling back to 12th. I hate to see that for Mitchell. He was running very well here today. The battle is not over for fourth, though. Dan McFarland knows he does not have a lot of time. He was within a tenth, less of a tenth, behind Francois Schenck. But running out of laps, running out of time to try and make something happen if he wants to put that 23 machine up into victory lane on the podium. Let's see what's going to happen. Will the checkered be thrown for Edwin Gorman, or is it going to be a white flag and another lap here at VIR? It's going to be very, very close to see if he can take the checkered. I'm believing he's going to get a white flag here, though. Out onto the start-finish line, and yes, I think Edward Gorman's going to be doing another lap with the rest of the field. About 15 seconds short of being shown the checkered. And oh no, more problems for our leading rookie driver, Trevor Lambert-Lee. We've seen the roller coaster rear its head several times. A very gentle crash. And then Lambert-Lee just says, you know what, I've had enough. So checkered flag will be thrown this time by, as Edward Gorman putting on a clinic here today at VIR. Gorman with a half lap left to go. Francois Schenck going to try a last lap pass against Logan McKenzie. Expect McKenzie in the 04 machine to drive very defensive here. Unfortunately for Dan McFarland, he's fallen way back 1.9 seconds. I wonder if McFarland's having to do some fuel saving to make it till the end. Now, thankfully for McFarland, he's well ahead of 6th place John Lawson. So if he can make it to the end, he'll at least hold on to a top 5 here. But ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Edwin Gorman picking up a massive win here at VIR. And it's going to be Micah Hendricks finishing second. And Logan McKenzie will round out the top 3. Gorman doing a little bit of celebratory car dismantling. Rapid disassembly, as we like to call it. And we're going to get these top 3 drivers up here to victory lane. What a great race. Kept it exciting the entire hour duration. An hour and 2 minutes is what we're showing on the board of how long this event lasted. And that will be Edward Gorman's 3rd win of the season, now tied with Micah Hendricks for most wins so far. It's going to be interesting to see this one continuing to shape up amongst the drivers. So we're still waiting on our top 3 to make their way up to victory lane for their post-race podium celebrations. We've got McKenzie joining us. We've got Edward Gorman, and it looks like we're just waiting on Micah Hendricks. So we'll get things started. With Mr. Logan McKenzie coming in 3rd in the 04 machine. Mr. Consistency. Logan, it seemed like, you really didn't get in a break at all in that entire hour-length feature event.
Yeah, no, VIR, very difficult track. I can confirm very sweaty race. The margin for error is non-existent with there being no runoff. So definitely one of the more difficult ones on the schedule.
Now, is it the length of the track that makes this so tough for drivers and just having to kind of be aware of what's going on over this massive, over 3-mile track, or is it a little bit of driver fatigue that's causing so many little incidents that can rapidly get worse out here in Virginia?
Yeah, these cars have basically no slipstream these days. You combine that with tires that overheat, but they don't like fall off. And you get people people will get desperate for passes in a track like here where it's already difficult to overtake. You really got to be on it to get by someone. So it's definitely very difficult racing, already in touring cars. So add on to the fact that it's difficult to pass, and you see people making a lot of mistakes over the course of an hour.
Well, Logan, it was a lot of fun watching you in that 04 machine. I know you and the guys over at Yellow Flag Motorsports pumped for another great result, but before we let you sign off and celebrate, who you want to give a shout to that helps make this 3rd place possible for you and the team?
Shout out to the whole team. Everyone has put in their fair share of work for the points this season. Connor, Eric's had a few good finishes as well, and Slug. So it's been a team effort this whole year, and I may be on the podium here, but overall in the team championship, we've all done this together. So shout out to those guys.
Awesome. Well said, Logan. Always a pleasure, my friend. Hope to have you back up here next week, and always good seeing you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, sir. Logan McKenzie brings it home in 3rd. Up next, a somewhat disappointed Micah Hendricks. But, Micah, you ran grace. You kept the 473 machine relatively clean when we saw so many other drivers having big issues throughout the duration of this event. And, both you and the Curb Your Enthusiasm team drivers had to be pretty pleased with the points you're bringing home here tonight.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I would say lucky and very happy to end up second after a handful of just really rookie mistakes on my end. Going for a pass into turn 1 and lost about 7 seconds there, and was able to feel safe the first stint though, and I think that helped my time in the pit stops. I think I gained 2 or 3 seconds in the pit rotation on the couple guys, and that helped me close back up. But definitely really happy with that result, and shout out to Francois for kind of playing the wingman on that end. So that was good.
Yeah, ton of fun watching you guys up inside that top 5. I mean, we were talking to Mackenzie just prior to having you in the booth, and I mean, he said it best. It was a sweaty race, I believe, is the term he used. Nobody had really much of a chance to get clean track, clean air. I mean, it was pressure from either in front or behind. It looked like for the last 35 minutes.
Oh yeah, that was thankfully it was just really tight there at the end. The top, 2, 3, 4, 5. So got a little lucky with Dan and John having some incidents. So, but yeah, it took me a little bit of time to figure out the middle. The middle stint wasn't very good. I think I was overdriving things a little bit, and just really lost base of where I was at. And then thankfully was able to grab a point for fast lap. Got incidents as well. So just overall, really good points haul for a kind of a poor performance on my end.
Well, Mike, I know you're a little dejected, but still a great night at the end of that, and that's what consistency wins championships. So good to have you back up here inside the top 3. And before I let you go and celebrate with the rest of the team, who do you want to give a shout out to that helped make this second place possible for you?
Like I said, shout out to Francois again. Just kind of played the team game there. Probably 6 or 7 laps to go, so it was just that helped so much on my end. So big shout out to him. And then shout out to my wife, let me practice as much as I do for this. So she's pretty awesome and asks about how it's going and all that stuff. And then, probably my parents back home, probably watching right now. So good to hope they're watching, and shout out to them.
Awesome. Micah, always a pleasure, my friend. Looking forward to having you back in the booth hopefully next week. And congrats to you and the team.
Yeah, appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too, sir. That was Micah Hendricks bringing it home in second. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Edward Gorman bringing it home. Time for the most wins of the season. The 137 didn't look like you could be touched out there at VIR.
Oh, man, that was a lot of fun. I didn't even know I had the tied for the most wins.
Yeah, I believe you and Hendricks both have 3 under your belt coming into tonight. So, I mean, things are looking good for you. And, I mean, it's going to be really close with the points implications after tonight as well.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I don't know. I'm just here having fun.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, hanging out with the friends on a Monday night. But, Edward, as a race leader, I know sometimes it's kind of anxiety-inducing to be that fast driver and not having everybody else chase you. But on the other hand, does it give a little bit of comfort having that relatively clean track and just kind of having to focus on hitting your marks for an hour instead of battling so intently like the rest of the field?
When I was able to keep John over like half a second back, I was able to get into that flow state. But man, after the pit stop, I managed to fuel a little less than everyone, and from there it was smooth sailing.
Yeah, it looked like lap traffic, not too much of an issue. We saw plenty of drivers hopping out of the way, and it seemed like maybe a couple of drivers had off-track excursions in front of you, but it looked like you're able to slice through those guys pretty quickly without too much issue.
Oh yeah, everyone's great drivers here. People are good about blue flags and stuff.
Well, it looked like a lot of fun for you in that 137 machine. It was a lot of fun for us up here in the booth. Now, coming up, we've got Hockenheimring and Laguna Seca. Either one of those tracks that jumping out to you and saying, this is a good one for me. I'm looking forward to trying to win home a championship.
If it's not hot, I like Laguna. I don't know about Hockenheim. Is it the national or is it the full version?
It is Grand Prix at Hockenheimring, if I'm looking at this correctly.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Awesome, man. We're looking forward to it up in the booth. But, Edward, you're no stranger to this part. You've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this win possible for you?
This feels bad, but Micah, he sent it and sent it a little too hard. That was a fun battle, though.
Well, awesome. Edward, always a pleasure talking to you, man. Hope to have you back up here next week. And thank you for putting on a great race for both myself and the fans here tonight.
Thank you. That was fun.
Thank you, sir. That was Edward Gorman bringing home his 3rd win of the season, tying with Micah Hendricks for most wins. He was accompanied by, of course, Micah Hendricks in 2nd and Logan McKenzie rounding out the top 3. On behalf of the Alpha Touring Challenge Series as well as Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, thank you all so much for tuning in, supporting the series, supporting the drivers, as well as supporting the broadcast. My name has been James East. Thank you so much, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.